Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 was one of the greatest, best-selling video games of its time. In this 4-player game, players can choose from 12 different Nintendo characters and duke it out on 9 different levels to discern who was the toughest fighter. Prior to its release, Nintendo and the game's developing company, HAL Laboratory, were hyping it up in every way imaginable. They had ads on Nintendo's website, in magazines, on TV, and even stuffed versions of the characters. However, there was one particular promotional event from the history line of Super Smash Bros. That has been lost in time. It was not until a man named André Segers posted a tweet recollecting the event. Unknown to Segers, his tweet would cause an uproar in both the gaming community and the lost media community. Today, I want to take you on the journey that I took in an attempt to find this piece of media. So this is my hunt for the lost promotional live event Super Smash Bros. Slamfest 99. The date was April 24th, 1999. At the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, a promotional event was taking place that would draw the attention of gamers across the nation. Super Smash Bros. Slamfest 99 was a staged fight between 4 people dressed in Nintendo character costumes, specifically Mario, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Pikachu. Many people received tickets to watch the event live in person. Others were not able to attend, and they were able to watch the event live on their computers in a pay-per-view format. This event was described by many to be kind of dull and very obviously staged. Many of the viewers were left unsatisfied as it ended with no clear winner. Around the same time, Nintendo aired a commercial on TV featuring these same costumes. This commercial is still viewable today on YouTube and is what sparked the piece of lost media that exists today. On May 11th, 2020, a tweet was made showcasing the actors in their costumes as the game hit its 21st birthday in America. This is where André Segers comes into play. Segers replied to this tweet saying, "Does anyone else remember the real-life Smash Bros. Battle using the same costumes that Nintendo live-streamed to promote the game? Yep, a live stream in '99. Never heard anyone else mention it, and I can find zero evidence of it ever existing online." This tweet sparked a lot of interest because many called him a liar and others had a vague memory of it happening. The only clues we have to go on are the eyewitness accounts saying that it did happen and only a few poor-quality screenshots of the video. Yes, someone did take a few screenshots of the video, and although they're poor quality, after all, it's probably someone taking a picture of their computer screen in 1999, it is enough to enthrall me to search for this piece of lost media, as I love the game just as much as the next person. So let's fall down the rabbit hole of a search that I ended up going on. I have 3 names for types of leads that you can have in a search. A dead lead is the name that I give to someone that I reach out to and they don't respond at all. A negative lead is what I call a lead that does respond, however they really don't have any information for me that I don't already know. A positive lead is the last one, and that's someone who responds and actually is able to help me out. So let's start with the dead leads, because believe me, there's a few of them. A lot of these were big stretches, and I had assumed that many of these people would not respond given the fact that they're big companies and I'm basically a stranger to them. But the first group that I contacted was HAL Laboratory. They're the company that designed the game. As expected, I got no response. I also contacted the event planning committee of the hotel that hosted that event. I wasn't expecting anything helpful, but they never responded either. As a bit of a stretch, I reached out to 5 developers of various streaming networks from the 90s, and only one of them responded to me, but we'll get into him. Lastly, I reached out to several video game historians that I found on Twitter. 2 of them did not respond, and 1 did, but he was also a negative lead. So speaking of negative leads, or people who respond and don't help me, let's get on to some of those. As I said, 1 gaming historian did contact me back saying that he remembers the event but has nothing to help me. Additionally, a man named Tom Bersu finally replied to me. Bersu is one of the current event planners for Nintendo, and although he did email me back, he said that he was kind of hired on a whim and has no real information of past employees. I told you that one of the streaming developers I contacted did answer me. His name is Tom Fulp, and he is the creator of the streaming site Newgrounds. I figured since Newgrounds was considered one of the top media sites of its time, there's a good chance that this is where it was streamed. He responded to my Twitter message asking me for the name of the event, but sadly he has since not gotten back to me, making him a negative lead as well. Funnily enough, I was searching through various video game archives on Google, and I found out that the Library of Congress actually has a video game collection and archivist. I managed to get a hold of one of their archivists, but sadly, all she could do was refer me to other places that have archives, and they all quickly turned into dead leads as well. Now would be the time where I talk about my positive leads, people that I reach out to that actually help me. And I was very quickly starting to lose hope since I actually did not have any. I mean, I contacted creators of famous media sites, developers of games, the hosts of the event, historians across the nation, employees of Nintendo, and even the Library of Congress, and I got nothing. Then one night I was laying in bed with all hope lost, and an idea struck me. There's only one person on this planet that I can guarantee that has seen the event and clearly remembers it. André Segers. With nowhere else to turn, I sent a message to Segers via Twitter asking him if he could recount any information that was not already listed in his tweet. Names associated with the event, where he viewed it, how much it cost, etc. Reluctantly, he responded, making him my only positive lead for this entire search. The only information he could give me that wasn't in his original post was that he knows he used RealPlayer to watch the event. RealPlayer was, and still is, a famous media browser specifically for videos and live events. So I downloaded the modern day version of RealPlayer, searched for Super Smash Bros. Slamfest 99, and nothing. I had reached out to the developers of RealPlayer, but I would consider them dead leads as none of the four of them responded. The other important bit of information Segers gave me was that he thinks he remembers having to copy and paste a link into RealPlayer to watch it. It was not on his actual browser. My only real problem now is that I don't know which version of RealPlayer he would have used. You see, RealPlayer, like all media sites, is constantly undergoing revisions and changes. Every time they change things, they release a new version of it and the old one becomes obsolete. With there now existing nearly 80 versions of RealPlayer throughout the years, none of which having specific release or termination dates, it would be nearly impossible to find the correct one. So once again, I hit a wall. I decided to backpedal a little and follow some steps that I knew wouldn't get me anywhere. I used the Wayback Machine to visit Nintendo's would-be website in April of 1999. At the bottom, there's a link to Super Smash Bros. Live. After clicking the link, we are taken here. Of course, the link on the screen does not actually take us to the rebroadcast, it is just an obsolete link. However, upon further reading, I saw something really interesting. Below the link, it states that one needs to download RealPlayer G2 in order to view the rebroadcast. I'd imagine that this is a tiny detail that a lot of people have missed when searching on this particular site. So there's my answer. RealPlayer G2 is the version of RealPlayer that needs to be downloaded for this to be viewed and is likely the version that Segers used to watch the broadcast. Following the embedded link to Real.com took me nowhere, so I decided to go back and see if it's possible to download the G2 version of RealPlayer today. Amazingly, there exists a website called oldversions.com that is designed for specifically this type of thing. It is a site that has hundreds of old applications and ways to download them onto your modern computers. So this was the home stretch, is what I kept thinking to myself. Problems began to rise quicker than I could fix them. For starters, it's pretty implicit from the Old Version's website that this is strictly downloadable for Windows computers, and I'm using a Mac. I found a downloadable G2 software for Mac, but it needed an emulator to run the G2 software. They recommended SheepShaver. So what is SheepShaver? SheepShaver is an application that, when ran, emulates the desktop of a vintage Macintosh computer. This emulator would need to be downloaded before I could even attempt to download and run G2. The other problem is, downloading SheepShaver is not as simple as clicking the download button. No, you need to have expandable ROM packs, cleared installation disks, and a bevy of other things that I just frankly don't know what they are. I'm good at sleuthing, but I'm not good with technology. I felt so close to the answer. When running a modern version of RealPlayer, there is a bar at the top to enter a URL. Assuming this was a feature in other versions, which it likely was, this then makes sense because Segers said he remembers having to use a URL from the Nintendo website to access the video. So my theory was that the link from the Wayback Machine was not a dead link at all. Instead, the URL that appears after clicking that link needs to then be copied and pasted into a functioning version of RealPlayer G2. If I could find someone that was able to download and run G2, I could test my theory. At this point, even though I kind of wanted the whole search to be just me, I enlisted the help of the internet. I posted a link on Reddit to a Google Docs form that I had created that explained my entire thought process so far. I was hoping that someone would see it and be willing to test my theory for me. I had all the pieces there, I just didn't have the technology to put all the pieces into one cohesive unit. So I posted this link, and it was time to play the waiting game. And I got nothing. I'm adding a little part right here while editing the video. A few people did reach out to me about this idea, actually. One person said that since the RAM file associated with the URL is missing, that the video would also most likely be missing. Another person informed me that they tried my theory and they said it didn't work. However, that's all they said. They said, tried it, didn't work. So I wasn't ready to give up hope just yet. I was hoping that maybe this person tested the wrong version of RealPlayer or used the wrong URL or just did something incorrectly. So nevertheless, I had one more idea for testing my theory. I'd been talking to my friend Alex about this search that I've been on, and I sent him the same link that I posted on Reddit. Alex is a lot more tech savvy than I am, so I got hope when he reached out to me. After reading the Google Docs form, he wanted to meet up with me via Zoom so he could download the app. I didn't have high hopes since someone already told me that it didn't work, but I was desperate and excited to be able to view someone testing it, so this was my last hope. I met up with Alex later on and we were able to download and successfully run G2. After copying and pasting the link into the browser, it was clear that this indeed did not work. We were greeted with an error message in a new window that said the file was not found. Additionally, we tried several other links that should have worked on G2, but they didn't work either. We got the same error message. It would appear that RealPlayer G2 is just too old of a program to run properly. Either that or the URL from Nintendo's site is officially defunct, as the person said the RAM file was missing from the link, thus the video should not work anywhere. So this is just about where my search ends. I contacted everyone under the sun for this search and still was not able to come across any new evidence that has not already been found. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm giving up on the search. If you ask me, this video is most likely lost forever due to the link being defunct and G2 just being too outdated. I wanted a better result, but this is what I ended with, and with no other path to take, I have to hang up my hat in defeat. I'm making this video to hopefully inspire someone else to search for this video or provide better searchers with ideas that they might not have had themselves. So, with nothing left to say, I hope you all like this video and I hope you have a wonderful day.